The title of this video may confuse you because of the slow start to Markelle Fultz in his career as a first overall pick. Dealt with that injury that hindered his ability to shoot a basketball. And, we haven't seen the player that I'm talking about. But trust me when I tell you this. At least to me, and this is coming from someone who started really taking prospects seriously when I was probably around maybe 15. I really started taking it seriously probably around the 2015 draft. That's the first one I really took seriously. Paid attention a little bit in 2014 because of guys like Wiggins, and that class was supposed to be loaded. But 2015 is when I started. So that's the line where I say, prospects I've seen. That's the line I started at. So, based off all the point guard prospects I've seen many good and great ones. Lonzo Ball, De'Aaron Fox, Dennis Smith Jr. So the other three guards from the 2019 class. You look at other ones, you got guys like Colin Sexton, Trae Young, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, just to name a few. But trust me, when I say that Markelle Fultz was the best point guard prospect I have ever seen, I mean it. Yeah, I mean it. Markelle Fultz is the best point guard prospect I have ever seen. And when we talk about Markelle Fultz and his NBA prospect, we have to talk about him purely as a prospect. I'm not talking about what he's been in the NBA, because what has happened to him in the NBA has honestly been out of his control in a way. The injuries are something that you can't control, and I never will hold against a player. I never held him against Greg Oden. I never held him against Derrick Rose. I never held him against Sam Bowie, because we never really got a chance to prove themselves. But with Markelle Fultz and the injury, it sent his career on a path that I think hurt his career. Well, I don't think it did hurt his career, because the injuries not only hurt him physically, but hurt him mentally, with all the media pressure of being a first overall pick. And even now, I don't think he would be like this if he never dealt with the injuries. I have high hopes for Markelle Fultz. I did, at least. And I think if he doesn't deal with the injuries early on in his career, and doesn't have to worry about fixing his jump shot or dealing with yips and all those things, we're talking about one of the best, if young players in basketball. Scratch that, we're talking about one of the best players in basketball, in my opinion. Because Markelle Fultz would be that. Because if he never had to deal with those injuries, his progression as a player doesn't change. And we see a different player. We see, in my opinion, one of the best point guards in basketball if he is healthy. And if he doesn't deal with those injuries and progresses like I thought he would, honestly, we may be talking about maybe the best or the second best player in the Philadelphia 76ers right now. Yeah, I think he'd be better than Ben Simmons, and maybe even better than Joel Embiid. That's how highly I think of Markelle Fultz when I did think about him coming out of college. And let me tell you something, Markelle Fultz, he had it all. He had the size. He's 6'3", 200 pounds. He is big enough to play both the point guard spot and the shooting guard spot, and long enough to play the shooting guard spot and be a potential good defender with his athleticism, because he was extremely athletic. He didn't show it all the time at Washington. He was a little bit of a sleepy-eyed kind of guy at Washington, but at the same time, I saw a lot of times where he would get these monster chase down blocks when I watched him play. Another thing is, he was a great ball handler. In fact, he still is a great ball handler. That's one thing he never lost, actually, was his ability to be a great ball handler. He is a great tight handle, keeps the ball on the string, and that's really something he never lost. He's a great passer, still is a great passer, never lost that actually either. When I watch him play, I see someone who's a great passer. He's not an elite passer, but he's a good passer. That's the best way I can put it. And then when you look at other things that he does well, get good rebounder for his size, and a great scorer. And that's the key thing. Being a great scorer is important, because when you want to be a star point guard in the modern NBA, you have to be a great scorer. Guys like Damian Lillard, guys like Steph Curry, guys like Russell Westbrook, guys like Kyrie Irving, Kemba Walker, they all are great scorers, and they are the star point guards in this league. And that's what Markelle Fultz had the potential to be, and maybe still does have the potential. I don't know if he ever will live up to that potential, but it's possible. But right now, I wouldn't set my hopes too high. I'm happy for him in Orlando right now. He's finally showing signs of what he could be, but not completely. Because let me tell you this. 12 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 5 assists is far from what I thought Markelle Fultz would be in year 3 of his career. In fact, I think he may have made his first All-Star team at this point in his career. No, scratch that. Maybe even his second or third, because Markelle Fultz was a player I was looking at and I was thinking, he could be an immediate impact player the moment he enters the league. That's what I thought about him. And to see him go through all these struggles was sad to me because of the fact that, you know, you saw this talent at Washington that had a chance to be generationally great, and then he ended up not being that. And it was because of things that were out of his control. Now, what do I think about it? Is he still the best point guard prospect I've ever seen? Yeah. And that includes guys like Trae Young and De'Aaron Fox and Lonzo Ball, other great point guard prospects I've seen. Markelle Fultz was the best because Markelle Fultz was a shooting image of someone that you would want to be a franchise player, someone that you would want to be the face of your team. He made the game look so easy. He made the game look like, yeah, he was made to do this. That's what he made the game look like. And it's starting to slowly come back. Listen, what do I expect from him moving forward? You know, I expect him to have a long NBA career. A career where he is a guy who averages around 10 to 17 points a night. He's going to be like a Darren Collison type, or a Ty Lawson type when he was still in the league. Or maybe, I think the ceiling right now is a Drew Holiday kind of player. But, you know, his ceiling now, but that's because of the injuries and how much they have stunted his growth and development. But at the same time, had he not dealt with his injuries, his ceiling is an MVP level player. We're talking about a guy who I believe could average 30 plus points per game in the league. Someone who could be a 35-5 or 30, even 7-7 guy in this league. That was my ceiling for him. He had all the makings of a franchise player. And now, it just goes to show you what injuries and mental games can do to a player. And it shows where we are now. But with that being said, what are your thoughts on Markelle Fultz? Do you think he can eventually live up to all the hype? Or do you think he'll eventually just be an average point guard? Which isn't a bad thing, given everything he went through early on in his career. But it's far from what we wanted from him when he entered the league. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on the best point guard prospect? Who was the best point guard prospect you ever saw? Those are all things you can put in the comment section below. And with that being said, thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed, please feel free to like and subscribe. The social medias I use are in the link below. And have a nice day.